All right, what's going on, everyone? Anthony Cofrancesco here from Data Dive, and this is Office Hours. Like promised, we're back with another real-world case study. Today is going to be a really good one. This is really about visual optimization. We've got Daniela here from Mindful Goods, and it's really good. We're going to open it up for Q&A. I think we're going to get through this one pretty quick, and then she's going to be able to answer a couple of questions. Daniela, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself before we jump in and get through some announcements? I think you might be muted. Daniela, I think you're muted right now. You're muted. We can't hear you. Okay. Well, we'll let Daniela know. We'll get an intro later. I'm going to jump in and we'll get back to the intro later. I've known Daniela for years now. She does really great work with her agency, and you'll see some of that actually pretty soon. So this is real world case studies. Like I said, special thanks to Daniela, Mindful Goods. This is what the case study is based off of, and yeah. So for Data Dive training, if you haven't booked a call, I'd recommend doing that. And we're removing all of these and more for people who are new users and enterprise accounts. Two ways that you're going to be able to ask questions once we get through the case study. You can either raise your hand or you can ask questions in the chat. Daniela is going to be a really great resource on all things related to branding and visual optimization. And so we'll get through some of that. If you're new to Data Dive or you want to learn more about how to use the tool, there's 3 ways you can become a Data Dive expert. We have our knowledge base powered by our AI chatbot. We have a YouTube channel, and we do office hours 3 times a week. So if you want to get to the knowledge base, you just click on this question mark icon in the bottom right-hand side of your screen, and you'll be able to pull up the knowledge base directly if you click on the button. Or if you have a question, you can type it into the chat bot and it'll find the article or it'll give you the answer right there on the screen. The Office Hours YouTube channel is a really great place to start if you've missed the past office hours. I think most of the sessions are up there. You want to check out the Office Hours V2 playlist. We're also uploading new videos every single week that explain in better detail different areas of the tool. Quick update. For those of you who don't know, we doubled usage. So standard users now can add 500 new competitors to dives every month. Instead of 500, they can do 1,000. And instead of tracking 500 keywords in Rank Radar, you can now track 1,000. Enterprise doubled as well. Starter did stay the same, but I think that's your motivation to upgrade to the standard plan. The starter is really just for if you're just brand new to Amazon or you only are doing a small number of researches every month. So this is the last segment. I should change this. This is the last segment of Office Hours, and then we're going to repeat the new sessions. They're going to update the content. So if you're looking at that V2 playlist on YouTube, Quick Start Guide is kind of essential framework, big picture concepts like what is product validation, what is product launching, what is optimization. After Quick Start Guide, these are the videos I like the most. If you have some experience using Data Dive, I would watch these. They're really good, especially the speed round on launch and the part 1, part 2 of optimization. In speed round, it's all about repetition, right? Same thing as when you go to the gym. First time you lift weights, it feels really awkward. It feels really uncomfortable, but the more you see it, the more you do it, you get better at it. It gets easier. So in speed round, we validate 3 different products in 30 minutes. We launch 3 different products in 30 minutes, and we optimize 3 products in 30 minutes. Right now, we're in this section for real world case studies, and this is moving beyond the theory, and it's showing you how these workflows that we teach, how they react in a real world environment. So if some of these workflows don't make sense or you don't feel confident executing these workflows, then you definitely want to watch the Office Hours or potentially rewatch the Office Hours for speed round, and you'll get to see it done over and over again. I'm not going to spend too much time on these. Again, if they don't make sense, either book a training call or watch the Office Hours videos. But for product validation, what we're going to do is we're going to start the dive. We're going to clean the MKL. We're going to do a quick analysis of the overview tab. We're going to fill out the product scorecard, and we're going to fill out the profits tool. Based on the information from the product scorecard and profits, you're going to use that to decide for your criteria whether or not a product passes validation or it fails. If the product passes validation, then you should consider running the AI product brief, and it's going to give you some ideas about how to improve the product. The first time that you do this, you're just learning your way around. It might take you 30 to 45 minutes. But once you've done this 5+ times, you should be able to do this in like 10 minutes. So if you've got a large queue of products that you're thinking, I'm not sure if these are good to move forward with, you want to get to the point of filling out the scorecard and profits. Once the product passes validation, you're going to move on to launching the product. You're going to write the listing. You're going to check the AI's work. So you're going to modify the listing, make sure that you're utilizing the keywords and routes that you want to be using. And once that's done, you're going to use the results from the AI product brief and then deep dive to make a creative brief. And then you're going to create your PPC campaigns for launch. This is like the bare minimum that you need to do to launch a product. And once you've done this about 5 times, you should be able to execute this workflow in, I'd say, about half an hour. And then for the optimization workflow, we break this down into 2 parts. So this is after you've launched a product, the product is currently selling on Amazon. You want to try to improve the performance. So this is the optimization workflow for SEO. What you're going to do is you're going to look at your master keyword list and see where you're indexed for different keywords. That's checking the SEO, checking your relevancy. Then what you're going to do is you're going to inspect the MKL and you're going to look for gaps. These are areas where your organic rank is not as high as you'd like it to be, or you're not indexed at all for different keywords. You're going to compare those gaps in the MKL to the listing builder. And if those gaps also exist in the listing, or you could get more ranking juice by switching the match type, moving things from your bullets into your title, then you're going to rewrite the listing, you're going to set up rank tracking, and you're going to continually keep optimizing for performance. Optimization part 2 is more related to PPC. So once the SEO is done, once the listing is written correctly, you're covering the important keyword routes, then you're going to diagnose and fix any click-through or conversion rate issues. There's some really good, really juicy material in today's real-world case studies about optimizing for click-through rate and optimizing for conversion rate. And then you're going to look at your rank radar, see those areas where you're still not indexed well for different keywords. And then you're going to analyze PPC performance. So areas of PPC that are eating up a lot of budget but are not giving you a return, you're going to want to shut off or reduce the spending on those campaigns. And then the areas that are doing well, you're going to want to ask yourself, could I be performing even better if my impression rank was higher? So that's going to be doing things like increasing your bids, running top of search, trying different campaign types beyond exact. And then you're just going to keep rotating back and forth between that and optimize those campaigns. If you missed last week's office hours, that was with Joey from Zonflip. There was some really good information there about optimizing PPC campaigns. A lot of the gains in that case study came from PPC after checking that the listing was done correctly. I'm not going to cover much on this enterprise workflow, but there is a video up on the YouTube channel that walks through this. We did the enterprise workflow for 3 different products. And this enterprise workflow is going to help you manage, if you have a larger team, if you have an agency, a bigger portfolio of products, it's going to help you manage the workflows for validate, launch, and optimize. So without further ado, let's jump into the case study. This one I'm really excited about. And if everyone likes this, then we'll bring Daniela back. She actually has a whole other case study for a supplement product that also saw really good gains. This one is a little bit different from things I normally talk about in office hours because it's not just related to SEO. It has a heavy emphasis on optimizing for content, right? Fixing the information, fixing the assets that you have on your product detail page to drive clicks and to drive conversions. So the product here is a line of different sauces called Pretty Thai. And it's a really fantastic product, but it looked like the seller was just not focusing a large amount of effort, time, and resources on Amazon. So a strong product, low performance. And you can read this here. I'm just going to skim through here, but I really like this line last at the end. I actually got this straight from Daniela and her team at Mindful Goods. Despite their tasty products, their Amazon listings were missing that special something to attract customers and boost sales. So the big contributors that led to this problem of lackluster sales or low performance is, like I said, it was a fantastic product, but not optimized for Amazon FBA. So the listing SEO was not up to par with other competitors that were doing really well in the niche. The main and secondary images, while they were okay, they were definitely not great. And then A plus content was something that they were missing out completely. So, in order to fix the problem, Daniela and her agency spent a significant amount of time over a period of weeks working on optimizing this brand. So, on the left hand side here, you're going to see this is the original title. And if we're breaking this down, we can see that there's really not that many keywords that are going to help drive rank and really just missing important keywords and root coverage. So, we basically have a brand name, we have the flavor of the sauce, and then we have some keywords that people are not searching for. So when we put this into data dive, we could see that from a ranking juice perspective, it was quite low, especially to other competitors in the niche that were optimized a lot better from a title standpoint. So with a little bit of work, this new title was able to be created, which is not only giving higher ranking juice, but it's going to allow Amazon's algorithm to get an idea of what you're trying to sell. There was a lot of different keywords that relate to this product, whether it's flavors, whether it's different ways that people call these dipping sauces. And so with a little bit of work, we're able to move from way down at the bottom of the list with, if you remember, only like 2,000 ranking juice to being in position 1 overall. And actually a few other of the pretty Thai products now having really, really high from an SEO standpoint. Now, the big focus of this case study, though, was around image optimization and improving and creating a really good set of A plus content. So this is something that I think it's one of those things. I know we have our image optimization master classes inside of Seller Systems, but I find that if you can see a good version of something and a bad version of something, or a not great version of something, it really helps to wrap your mind around what's possible. And this is something I've always really liked about Daniela's agency is they do incredible work. And not just incredible work from a visual standpoint, but it actually makes sense. It matches what a customer is looking for, whether it's before they buy the product or while they're going through the shopping experience. So this is something that her agency is really well known for. It's adding what she calls eye candy. And so you can see here before, it's great looking packaging, a great looking product. It stands out on a white background, but to add a little bit more umph, right? This is what the eye candy is. So things related to flavor of the product and ingredient, you can see that this is a pretty big increase. So this is going to help catch eyes when people are scrolling. It's going to stop the scroll and it's going to get that click through rate up. Now, the secondary images were also, not only were they not utilizing all of the image spaces, they could have added additional images, but just lacking key detail about the product, right? Who is going to go and look at the nutrition facts and like dig in, zoom in, and actually read everything that was put here on the packaging? So this is what they had in image position 2, image position 3, and then image position 4, we just see a flat lay photo of, I guess, a dish that you could put this sauce on. Not even really clear if the sauce is being used in the images. So what Danielle's agency did was go to a whole new level with this, an entire new image stack that drives conversions. So you can see here, this is image position 2, a trip to Thailand, savory with a punch of tangy tamarind. And it's also a really big question that people have about this product, like how spicy is this going to be? There's this perception that all Thai food or Thai condiments are going to be just burning hot, really, really hot. It's also taking some of those elements that we saw before of like, okay, this is a dish that could be seasoned, but it's done in a visually appealing way. It's not using all of the pixel space of the image to accomplish this. Also really like too that you're seeing these brand colors come in where it's not just the color of the product, but like we've got this really nice yellow and teal scheme that's going on and being repeated throughout. Now we're still showing the nutrition facts here in image position 3, but now what we're showing is like we're reinforcing with this copy at the top, 100% natural ingredients. And it's, again, overcoming a common objection that people might have with this product, that it's free from preservatives, fillers, stabilizers, and any unnecessary thickeners. Then we've got authentic, unapologetic flavor, and then saying what kind of dishes is this compatible with. So fried rice, noodles, and using it as a marinade. No fake flavor, right? So this is authentic. It really matches. If you've seen the image optimization workflow, this whole concept of are all of the items in the image related and cohesive? And so, like, all of these things go together. We're not trying to cover multiple concepts in a single graphic. This is something that's quick for someone to see. Their brain is going to understand what's going on. It's going to click, and they're able to really quickly go through this gallery with only spending a couple seconds on each image. But it's getting the main points into the customer's head. That's going to help increase the conversion rate. Got another one here that is, again, referencing what kind of ingredients are in the product. And it's, instead of just putting text on the screen, this is clearly something that's important enough to emphasize multiple times, saying that no preservatives, non-GMO, gluten-free, no high fructose corn syrup. And then this is one of my favorite ones. I like that it's the last image in this gallery. It's something that it's not coming out and saying directly that it's a testimonial. So I think it's very safe to have these types of images in, but it's just putting something that's suggesting that, hey, maybe this could be a testimonial. So, like, I like this one because it's a very realistic scenario. This could disappear in one sitting with hungry guests afoot, so guard it well, or just celebrate lavishly. So great copy that's brought in. You can kind of visualize this gathering that's happening. And it's, again, a great way to wrap up the image gallery. I like this because you can just scroll through these pretty quick, optimized for mobile, very easy to read, very easy to understand, not too busy. Now, the other thing that you can do is inside of Data Dive, if you go to the tab called Deep Dive, you can actually see all of the competitor image galleries all in one spot. And so what I've done is I actually got 4 of what I thought were some of the more visually impressive image galleries. And you can see there's some really big brands here, right? We've got this Red Hots, we've got this Thai brand, we've got PF Chang's, we've got La Choy. These are really big brands, but what I like doing inside of Deep Dive is if I'm scrolling through all of the image galleries, ask yourself honestly, look at the images that are currently there and ask yourself, do my secondary images stand out? Like, if I was a customer buying this product, would it click for me that this looks like a reputable brand? This looks like the seller puts work into, concepting their graphics. Is this something that's likely to convert? And I think it's pretty clear to see just based off this comparison that this is the most visually impressive image gallery in the niche. And they're not following exactly what everyone else has done. This looks very unique, all right? It looks special, it looks dynamic. So the last thing on here, part of the solution, is the A+ content. If you don't already have A+ content in your listing and your brand registered, this is low-hanging fruit. You're just leaving conversions on the table. You're just leaving money on the table. So again, this is what one of the original listings looked like. You can see the title, not super optimized, the image gallery, very boring. And then also here for the product description, right? It's like there's just no A+ content. So the team did a little bit more work. Obviously, I had to break this up so that it would all fit on the screen. But if you can visualize, this is the first set of modules, followed by the yellow, and then followed by the blue again. We have that same cohesive branding scheme, the color scheme rather, that we have from the secondary images. We're bringing this down into the A+ content. And what I really like about this is it's just really easy to understand. It's really clear. It gets straight to the point. And this is something that's going to be mobile optimized. And it looks great, but it's also functional. So I'm not going to go through all of this right now, but a few of the modules that I really like is this one, reinforcing like, hey, there's actually human beings that run this. They've got a food truck. It's making it seem, it's really telling the story about that brand, that it's not just a random product sold on Amazon with some faceless, nameless people or a nameless corporation that's putting a product up just trying to make money. It looks like there's something a little bit more that's going on here, right? They really like to share this passion for food and, True Thai Texas BBQ sauce. I think down here it was mentioning that they're actually based out of South Austin. It's, again, going with the compatibility of like what you can put this on. So stir fry, it's great as a BBQ and a dipping sauce. And then showing that spice level again. You'll see too that there is some overlap between what's in the secondary images and in the A+ content. I'm curious when we get into the Q&A to get Daniela's take on, because I know this is a common question that we get, like, is it okay to replicate? It seems like these are really important concepts that it's okay to have in both. We'll get to that in the Q&A. Better than takeout and healthier too, right? Common thing people are doing is they're buying, maybe they're not cooking the Thai food themselves, but they're getting takeout. They want to spice things up a little bit. And then this is, again, I think one of my favorite types of graphics to put in A+ content is showing the entire product line here in the A+ content. Now with the premium A+, you can go even a little bit deeper with this. But what I like is that, let's say someone is on the listing and they might have not realized that this was part of a larger product line. Well, now you can see we're not just, we don't just have the peanut sauce, but we've also got sweet chili. We've got a really hot version. It's showing the range of spice levels going down from more sweet to the ones that are really spicy. So overall, the impact on this case study was fantastic. This also was a good example of taking a product kind of from 0 to 1, or in this case, maybe like a 0 to 10. So it was already a great product. They just needed a significant amount of help. And you can see that the results really speak for themselves. So this product was able to see an 88% increase in sessions and 194% increase in sales. I also did run this through Data Dive and saw that it was indexed for 81% of the keywords in the master keyword list on page 1. I think when I was putting this together, it wasn't as strong as it could be because there was products in this niche that were not only sweet chili sauce. So if I were to replicate this again, I would try to get a little bit more consistent with the products that I was including. And I think this is actually a good time that Daniela, if you're free to get on camera right now, maybe you can actually walk us through this, because there was even some deeper experimentation that happened here. You want to walk us through the results?
Yeah, sure. Can you guys hear me okay?
Perfect.
Sweet. So yeah, in this one we did a product title test and a main image test, and these were isolated experiments. So if a brand qualifies for manager experiments, we always try to run them there first. But then we always go and look at the manual data to try to understand it a little bit better. And in this case, the main image was showing a 69% probability of performing better. I will say that main image was only using the eye candy method, right? There's other tactics you can deploy if the eye candy method doesn't make sense. Like if your product if it doesn't make sense to put little ingredients on the side or other things, you might think through post edits on your packaging, or you might think through what other call outs you can do on top of your main image to make sure that you're getting those eyeballs and getting those clicks to your main image. So there's lots of different things you can do. That's just one element, right? And then what we saw in terms of the results was an 88% increase in sessions in that period of a month, and then the 194% increase in sales. And I know you had a question about the A+ content versus the product images and why we chose to repeat some of the concepts. I think it's important when you are first thinking through like your content framework, right? You want to be thinking through like, what are the most important things that are going to sell this product? Like, what are the tried and true questions that are happening in the reviews? What are people saying over and over about your product? And then as the brand owner, you instinctively almost know the 5 questions the customers always ask you. You have to get those answered, right? And the other thing is we can't always assume that people are looking at all your product images and all of your A+ content. So a lot of times our behavior is that we're just going to click into the listing if it caught our interest. We're going to look at a couple images. We're going to go straight down to the review. If you have this beautiful, compelling A+ content, it is essentially your last chance to get them to stop. And maybe you'll get them to look at 1 or 2 more things before they hit those reviews. And so that's the ideology you need to be thinking about, is like, okay, I have 2 seconds here and 2 seconds here. So if we're trying to introduce too many concepts, you run the risk that they're not going to get the most important thing they need in order to make the purchase. So that's where we try to just distill it down and make it so simple for people. And that is dependent on the product type, right? So this is a very simple product. We don't need to overcomplicate it. We need to hit home on the thing that we know people want, and they want flavor when it comes to food, and they can't taste it. So we need them to see it. We need them to be drooling as they're looking at it. So that's kind of where we went with this one. For a technical product, an electronics product, like it's a totally different elements you need to think through. And in that case, you do need to put in more information about the product.
Awesome. What was there anything else that I missed or that you wanted to cover from the earlier slides that you'd like to highlight or talk about?
So let's see. The main image was crucial for us in terms of like the SEO. We're going through that entire analysis of understanding where they are today. So we want to know like what are they indexing for today and make sure that we're not losing any of that. So this was a client that we looked at it and we just knew we can only get better from here, right? Like this is a good example of like when you are at the starting point for your product and you haven't really invested in anything on Amazon, there's very little you could do in terms of like building a better listing that would mess it up, right? And so for us, we just went all out and did everything we wanted to do. Now, if you have a product where you're a little bit further along, you do want to be a lot more careful with changing your title, changing your bullets and all of that. So I always like to caution with that because the tests run a lot differently. We'll do a manager experiment or we'll do like maybe a couple keywords changes in the title in those scenarios. Like we won't completely go and change everything in the listing copy all at once. We might isolate just the title change for a few weeks, or we might isolate just the bullets in a manager experiment for the bullets. So that's something that you should always be very careful with in terms of the SEO portion.
When you're running these manager experiment tests, what time frame are you typically going with, and do you ever end them early?
That's a tough one because it's really client specific. We like to run it until it's statistically significant and let Amazon end it for us. But sometimes if there's not enough traffic to the listing, that can take too long and some clients just don't want to wait. So our preference is manager experiments. That being said, if clients have lots of SKUs and have and are more comfortable with changing their data manually, then we do go ahead and just run it and pull the manual data. And then we'll either switch it back or let the winner run. So it is very client specific.
What do you say to all the people that they're like, I hate managed experiments. It just takes too long to run. It's not worth it. I'm going to focus my time elsewhere. From what I understand, your agency does a lot of MYE testing. You have any thoughts on that?
So we do a ton. We've done hundreds at this point. We first test with other tools, right? So we'll use PickFu primarily or IntelliV or a couple others. And that's really like, that's more in terms of like design iteration, but we're also cautious that that's not Amazon data. So as much as I love this image on the right and it worked and it's amazing, there is very much a chance that it couldn't have worked, right? Like you have to always, like you and I have talked about this, sometimes renders don't perform well in certain categories and sometimes they do. Sometimes the render just doesn't look as accurate as it could, and sometimes a better quality render would actually perform. So there's lots of hypothesis every time you make a change, especially to something like a main image. So for me, what I'm trying to think through is basically that specific product. And for those manager experiments, like we're a huge fan of them. We always try to go back and look at the manual data to compare things. I know they take a long time, but one set is non-Amazon data and the other set with manager experiments is Amazon data. So I do like to run them as much as possible. I like getting the forecast. I like understanding what Amazon's seeing. And then in the cases where clients don't like them, we will do manual. And the other thing that's interesting that I will share here that I think most people don't realize is like there's a lot of clients out there that still haven't opted into Premium A+. And I feel like that is such the low-hanging fruit right now. And we're trying to understand is Premium A+, so this is basic, right? This client came to us a while back. So we were still allowing clients to do basic. Now when clients come to us, we are only designing an A+ content because in my mind, if Amazon's giving you this asset that used to be $100,000-$200,000 just to get access to, every brand should be opting in, right? So we have a tutorial that shows you how to unlock it. It's super easy. It takes less than 2 minutes. You'll have access in a week and you should be upgrading your content. Brands right now, the brands that we're working with, they're seeing anywhere from up to 50% to 300% increase in sales when they're upgrading from basic to premium. So for me, that's like the no-brainer. The number one question I got asked last year is like, is it worth it to upgrade? Because updating your content, especially your A+, is more of a time investment. It's not as easy as just changing your title. So for us, we always go for the easy changes first. We'll do the title changes, we'll do the bullets, we'll do the main images. Those are the three like quick wins that you can get right off the bat that you should always be doing, but don't sleep on Premium A+. It's well worth it right now.
Amazing. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else here. You're also doing manager experiments as well for A+ content.
Yep.
What kind of variables are you testing there? Is it more like totally different designs or order of the modules? Can you walk us through that a little bit?
We're typically testing totally different designs because our clients have a baseline that they have, and we'll test our new version against that. Whereas what I recommend to clients after that is that they test order. So we like to build in this modular design, whereas like the first two images you see on the left-hand side of the screen, you wouldn't really change there, right? But you could very well change the order of the third and the fourth image in the middle. You could even change the order of that last banner too. The other thing you want to do is as you start to grow in the assets that you're collecting, like let's say you start working with influencers and you have UGC content, you can absolutely use any one of these banners as a cover image to a video. And that's not, you don't even have to make a change to do that in Premium. You literally just upload the video and re-upload the banner, right? So the other thing is you'll get like, it'll be mobile optimized when you switch to Premium. So, I mean, most of the shopping, more than 70% of the shopping is happening on mobile right now. So you should be thinking through all of these things that are going to impact conversion, and Premium is definitely a huge one.
Amazing. What about for people? This is another common question we'll see, and I'm going to wrap up here in the next couple minutes, everyone. So if you have questions, you can start dropping them into the chat or raising your hand. I see we have one. We'll get to this one here in the end. But this is a really good brand story. What would you recommend to people who don't feel like they have a brand story, or they know that A+ content, it should in theory include some of that? Do you have any advice for that? Like, should someone ever make up something that's not actually authentic, or like what are your thoughts there?
Okay, so when I hear that, I like to understand like why, because sometimes it's a matter of the person who owns the brand not wanting to put their face on the brand. I get it. Like, that's totally fine. But there's still a reason why you started the brand, or there's an ethos of what you believe in. So it doesn't need to be this like heart, felt story. It can be like, we are a US based company from Chicago, and we started this business because we believe in in pet care, or we believe in these things, right? Or some what brought you to this point of having the brand, right? And even the photos don't have to be yours, but it has to feel like there are real humans behind this. And you'd be surprised how many times clients have gotten messages like, oh, I bought this because I saw that you guys care about animal welfare and you give back. Like, if you give back, don't just say you give back on your listing. Show the logos of the corporations that you give to, or the animal shelters that you give to, and then go and look at their website and look at the impact of what they're claiming that they do every year. Are they sheltering 500 dogs? Are they feeding 10,000 animals? Like, what is the true impact in the world that they have? And put those numbers on your content. Like, those are actual tangible numbers that by somebody buying this product, you are then able to give to the shelter that is creating this impact in the world. And so those are the things that you can think through. There's always an angle to the story. It doesn't have to be you showing your face, but there's a caveat there, because there are some brand owners that very well could be the face of their brand, because let's say they have a kid's product and they are a parent, right? You can absolutely show you and your kids having fun playing or something like that and bring that into the story. It doesn't have to be like this fancy headshot of you. We worked with a beauty brand recently where the founder felt like she didn't have a true connection to her product. She's not like super into beauty, but she has a very successful line of beauty products. So she's not out there on YouTube creating all these videos because she didn't really want to put herself out there in that way. And she wasn't comfortable with any of her headshots. So we were asking her, but what is the real reason? And what it came down to is like, she just didn't feel comfortable with any of the headshots that she had. She didn't feel like they matched her brand. So we were able to take the headshots that she had, run them through an AI headshot generator and say, what about these? Do you feel like these versions of yourself show that you are a beauty brand owner? And she was like, yes, that one right there. I love that one. And so then she felt comfortable showing herself as the proud brand owner of this brand that is super successful and has been operating for 15 or 20 years. So it's like, it's digging a little bit deeper, right?
Amazing. Okay, that's awesome. That's really good advice there. We're gonna wrap up here. Let's see. I think we got a couple of questions. Keep filling these into the chat. We're gonna do questions for the end here. Just for analysis and next steps. Daniela's agency is very premium, and I've known Daniela for a number of years now. And every time I see a case study, I'm like, wow, this just looks amazing. So these are like more expensive projects to work on. I think she was telling me, I sent her an email, and it was like in the range of a few $1,000s plus, depending on the number of ASINs. Keep in mind though that this is a product that it's already, it looked like it was already based off of, like, they had a food truck, they're already getting sales, they're bringing this product to Amazon. And it's not just for one single product, like this was for a line of products. Keep in mind though that if you don't fix, and this is why in the workflow that I was showing earlier, if you don't fix your click-through rate and conversion rate before going and doing things like PPC, it's just going to dramatically, in a negative way, impact how those ads are going to be able to perform. So before you really start trying to scale up the brand, this is something that you should get right. I'd say that it's worth the investment. I think the owners of this brand were very, very happy. I think the impact overall, an increase in sales and increase in sessions, really speaks for itself. I just have a couple announcements here, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A. If you're going to be in London, we're going to be at Seller Sessions Live. I think Danny might already be sold out for these tickets, but we have a workshop on Friday. I think there's only 12 seats. I don't know if there's any spots left for that. And then on the 16th of April, so it's like maybe 2-3 weeks from now, it's going to be financial strategies for Amazon sellers. That one's totally free. So whether you're an inner circle or not, you can join. And that's basically it.